Give me the DD. You just started taking your pants off.
And I'm excited about the dinner I'm going to on Friday with your wife. You guys are jerks.
Top of the sixth, and rookie sensation Ricky Vaughn on the pitch now. You can close the book on Kelder.
Thank God.
Vaughn, a juvenile delinquent in the offseason in his major league debut.
Gonna light your ass up, me.
Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed. Ball 4. Ball 8. Low, and Vaughn has walked the bases loaded on 12 straight pitches. Boy, how can these guys lay off pitches that close?
Hello, everybody. Welcome in. This is the live edition, just a bit outside. Here, Doyle Fantasy Baseball's very own podcast, gone live to all the world. I'm Travis Akins, and tonight we dive into the just completed divisional championship games. We're going to break those down for you and get you ready for the league champion games. And breaking news, everyone, 2018 will be the year we see a new league champion. We're going to dive into that game. The end of 2018 is near, and it's time, boys. It's time for the biggest game of the season. This is Doyle Fantasy Baseball, and this is the greatest show the internet has to offer. Welcome in the one, the only, Justin Deering. How are you, sir?
I've been better, but I'm going to get over it real quick. You know, Travis, I was real happy on Monday. I was real sad on Tuesday. I was real drunk Wednesday through tonight. But you know what? I'm excited to see what happens. A new champion in the league is always good. Get it away from the three of us so it doesn't look like we're colluding and we're trying to run this league and steal your $4 a year. I'm excited for a new champion. I think it's going to be a great game next week. This is, like Travis said, just a bit outside live. You can interact with us in the chat on YouTube or private text messages. Each of you have our number. If you have something you'd like to say, shoot it over to me, shoot it over to Travis. We'll get it on the air as soon as we can. Travis, we lost, man, but it's all good. There's always 2019, and I just want to go on the record right now to say my team, the remaining players that will be around, many will get cut. They're already focused on 2019. I'm already focused on 2019. I went to the gym today and I worked out because we will not have fatness be an excuse next year.
Yes. Yeah, no, this is a sad day for the Akins Army franchise. It sucks to lose, and I hate losing. And terrible week all around for the old ball club, Royal Ruckus. The regular season division champion is now the divisional champion. He'll represent the Rick Vaughn division in that league championship game this week. Yeah, no, fatness cannot be a part of this winning formula.
Yeah, no fatness allowed. No fatness allowed. So, Travis, let's jump into the matchups. Let's jump straight into that Akins Army versus Royal Ruckus, because let's be real, if we look at the score of the other side, it's not that exciting. It was an absolute demolishing blowout. We'll talk about that here in a minute, but let's get right into this Akins Army versus Royal Ruckus. When we came to you on Thursday, this game had just started to separate. It had been close, half a point difference at one point, and on Thursday, I believe Thursday was the Scherzer start, and that's when the separation happened. That's what we talked about in last week's show going into it, that I think I said Max Scherzer may score 70 points that night. He didn't need 70 points. He got his points that night. He got 20.5, just enough to separate, and it kind of kept that separation building over the weekend. When you look at this, it wasn't a great pitching week for Royal Ruckus at 87 total points. Scherzer really was. Him and Jamison Talion were his top performers on the pitching staff. Jake Arrieta got him 5.5. Clevenger got him 7.5. But his offense had a great week at 153. Travis, I don't want to hear why you lost yet. I want to hear why Luke won. Hit me with why Luke won.
Yeah, Royal Ruckus won the divisional championship game clearly because of offense. It was the superior offense this week, and if I could break it down even further, it is the one, the only, the great Mike Trout was the difference maker at 28.5 points. Now, it was a very balanced offensive performance from Royal Ruckus this week. Jose Altuve had a great week. Mike Moustakas had a great week, and you had contributions from Andrew McCutcheon and Whit Merrifield, by the way, had a terrific week at 25 points. And so the offense is what carried Royal Ruckus. And Royal Ruckus, when they were on that hot streak, early, mid of 2018 season, the offense was doing what their offense does, and the pitching really stepped up. And then as they kind of had this up and down part of the late summer heading into the playoffs, it's the pitching that was really starting to let Royal Ruckus down. And what we saw, though, was throughout 2018, this is why Royal Ruckus is in the position they're in, because their offense is just that much better on any given week. And here, just about a 50-point difference offensive performance against Aiken's Army. It was this offense. It was this balanced offensive attack. Guys of Trout, Merrifield, Altuve, those guys are doing the things that you expect them to do, 153 offensive points. And really, I mean, cancel out the pitching. The pitching on both sides was just piss poor this week. And the pitching is just didn't have anything to do with this. This was an offensive performance from Royal Ruckus that won them their very first Rick Vaughn Divisional Championship.
Well, Travis, now I'm going to swing over and look at your side. Like you said, pitching on both sides is pretty, I love the word you use, piss poor. You actually won that matchup in the pitching by 2 points. You've got to look at Dallas Keuchel. You've got to look at Cole Hamels. We talked about the Cole Hamels game on Thursday on the weekend update. But Dallas Keuchel, someone who was pulling the last year of their rookie contract this year, was traded to your team last year, $12 this year. I'm guessing you would go on the record to say he was absolutely not worth all 12 of those dollars this year based on overall performance. But this pitching staff, I mean, Wade LeBlanc, your waiver wire pickup, Wade LeBlanc, top
playoff waiver wire,
top starting pitcher this week because Kenley Jensen got his 18.5 or 18.8, but he's in that save position. It's probably not the best formula if your waiver wire playoff pickup starting pitcher that you slid into a relief pitching spot to get that start down there is your top. Today just kind of sucked. I know today for you texted me early and you're like, well, 6 out of my 9 aren't starting, so this looks like a good day for me. JD Martinez, George Springer, Joey Votto, Chris Bryant, Trevor Story, and
Grandal,
Yasmani Grandal all on the bench. That is one of the interesting wrinkles in this league. We go so late into the year, so close to the playoffs starting, that once September hits, the whole new strategy comes in. I'll talk about that on my side as well because it happened on our side as well. Man, who would have thought 6 of your starters would be out on Sunday? I remember we were hyping just 1 week ago, talking about how we would go live at 9:30 with the deciding call from Sunday Night Baseball. Both of these games have been over since Thursday.
Yeah, they really have. That the Wolves-Tigres game has been over a little earlier. This one, I think, just really until yesterday was even the greatest of the separation. It started Thursday, but then it was just pretty final yesterday. And the guy's not playing on a Sunday just because they're taking days off because it's September baseball, and a lot of these guys have sealed up their divisions in Major League Baseball. This is one reason why I personally am in favor of daily lineups. And I know we're not going there, not bringing that up to say we're having that conversation. I'm saying that to say because something like this just sucks when you have these kinds of guys who, I'm not saying I would have won with them playing today. It just would have made it more interesting for me to pay attention to baseball today had these guys been in the lineup, or if I could have at least attempted to replace them at this stage of the game. There's 2 reasons. Well, let me just say this real quick. The Aiken's Army performance this week was very unlike my team of 2018. The offense sucked this week, and it's not just the guys who weren't playing on Sunday. Let me pinpoint it to 2 specifics. Trevor Story gets 1 at bat. This is an MVP discussion guy in the National League. He gets 1 at bat and 0 points, doesn't play the rest of the week. There's no chance for a DL at that point. There's no chance for replacement at that point. You're taking a 0 point at your shortstop position. Not a good situation. And then the other one is Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt, the big bat Paul Goldschmidt, who has slow start to the season, is having a slow end of 2018. 0 points and 16 at-bats, 6 strikeouts this week. I'm lucky I didn't go negative in Paul Goldschmidt. And when you get 0 at a Paul Goldschmidt in your first base position, it's just not a good week. And the pitching is pretty suspect, yes, but that has been my pitching all year. You hope the offense, we talked about this last week, my offense needed to step up and be big. It was not. And the result is a better team here in the Week 2 Divisional Championship playoffs was Royal Ruckus, and their offense carried them. It was more balanced, and they'll represent the Rick Vaughn division in those in that league championship game this week.
Well, let's swing over to the other side. I'm going to let you lead the conversation on this because I'm going to drown my tears in this alcoholic seltzer water my wife found. It's legitimately water with booze in it. So it's like I feel like I'm staying hydrated, but I'm not staying hydrated because I'm drinking at the same time. This one's black cherry flavored. It's amazing. And I'm about 30 deep, and they don't have a lot of alcohol in them. As you can tell, I'm still pretty much okay. So
you're not going to remember any of this show, are you?
I didn't win. I mean, I didn't lose. I wasn't here. I don't remember it. So let's get into that Tigers versus Wolves matchup.
Yeah, this is the game we have mentioned a couple times already where it was fairly obvious where this was going. Jose Abreu's hip, as your sign behind you says in our recording studio, it sucks. His hip.
No, it says Jose Abreu's hip can suck it.
Yeah. This is a game where Wichita White Wolves have gotten hot again. We saw a hot Wichita White Wolves at the beginning of the season. We saw a little more up and down, a little kink in the armor, if you will, mid to late summer from the Wichita White Wolves. But they have shown why they are first in fantasy points this year. And they have shown why they are one of the top elite teams in Harry Doyle Fantasy Baseball, because they could have played anyone this week and they would have obliterated every team in this league this week, because this roster at this time of the year and at this stage and at the right time is hitting on all cylinders. This is a Wichita White Wolves team that you can look at their offense and go, yeah, that's a stout offense. There are some high performance guys. Javier Baez, we've talked about many different times. Manny Machado, the big offseason acquisition. Trey Turner with 39 points this week alone. Michael Brantley and Chris Davis, and a mediocre Nolan Arenado this week with 8 points. That's the subpar. That's not the normal Nolan Arenado. But here it is, and here's why the Wichita White Wolves are a scary team when they're clicking on both sides of the ball, the hitting and the pitching. 174 pitching points this week. Blake Snell brings in 37 points this week, and Jacob deGrom with 21 points this week. And this is a pitching team that is clicking right now. And when they are clicking this way, if you're Luke's Royal Ruckus, and we will have the owner of Royal Ruckus and the owner of the Wichita White Wolves on the show here in just a few minutes. And this will be a question I want Luke to respond to, is you have to be a little concerned, because if this Wichita White Wolves team continues to do this, this is a team that's going to be really hard to beat and to not be the champion when we do our next week's live show. This Wichita White Wolves team is clicking on all cylinders. Now, Justin, from the Los Tigres perspective, from the owner of the Los Tigres, obviously we've talked about Jose Abreu, his hip, but just in general, this was not the normal Los Tigres week in a lot of different ways. What was different about the guys on your roster this week?
I remember last week in our show, I said, remember at the beginning of the season when I said, no, I don't want the entire Red Sox outfield on my team, because why would anybody want that? They're not all going to produce. Today I had a little flashback of if I did have them on, I would have gotten beat by 200 points. The Red Sox have sealed everything up. Mookie Betts had 14 at-bats this week and still put up almost 30 points. Andrew Benintendi, 16 at-bats, 9.5 points, so not the best week for him. It was just a down week. We had 40 points on Wednesday. And Mookie Betts and Andrew Benintendi sat out Monday and Tuesday. They played Wednesday. They sat out Thursday. They played Friday. And I guess Mookie's getting I don't know if he started tonight or if he's just pinch hitting right now or what's going on. But it was just a weird week. A lot of people getting days off. Of course, as we've already mentioned, Jose Abreu decides Monday afternoon after playing minimal at bats on. He didn't play at all. He played Sunday, but they had Monday off. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night would have been his third night. Couldn't sub him out for somebody. Not that it would have changed anything. And then the pitching I had this week, Charlie Morton goes out and throws 1 inning, gives up 1 hit, 1 earned run, strikes out 2, but then they pull him because of his velocity being down. Chris Sale did not get his full start, but he struck out 7 through 3. That's pretty good. Cody Allen never saw a game. It was just a bad week, and I was frustrated. I was in a dark place most of the week. And then to top it off, when I get bored or when I get down, I go back and look through the league history and remember what we did in the past. And I would just like to say that I cut Blake Snell last year on a minor league, still was in the minor leagues. Just got rid of him because I felt like it was better to get somebody else. He hadn't even activated his freaking contract yet, and I cut him last year. So he could have been up there. Me and Chris go back and forth, and it all started last year with trades and things like that, and all the stuff that went down. And we've become a good rivalry. I wish this game would have been closer. I stand by my prediction that whoever won this game wins the championship. So I do feel the Wichita White Wolves are going to carry this straight up to the bobblehead. But I wish this game would have been closer because I really feel like we started the week strong, talking trash to each other. But by the end of Monday, it was pretty obvious the route it was going, because I think on Monday it was like 48-7. Just didn't feel good about it. So the trash talking kind of died off, because what's the point of talking trash when you got beat by 107? I mean, it wasn't the best week. Congratulations to Chris. I will not be a sore loser, but I will say that I look forward to beating your ass next year.
Hey, we'll wrap up the conversation of the divisional championship games with this. Justin, why don't you take the Army Ruckus game? Tell us who is the Rick Vaughn Divisional Championship Round MVP.
The MVP of the Divisional Championship Round, and I think, I don't want this to be a cop-out answer in any sort of way. It's not Mike Trout. Mike Trout seems to get the love every time we talk about any sort of award in this league, but I am going to give it to Scherzer, because I think his performance on Thursday set the tone for the rest of the weekend. And we saw that half point go to about 12 points to go to about 20 points. And now here we are at 44-point separation on Sunday. Or you could give it to your pitching staff for Luke's team. Your pitching staff for Luke's team.
Yeah. Cole Hamels, Kershaw, my big acquisition there, didn't do much.
No, I think if you look at it based on entire resume leading up to this, Max Scherzer has kept his pitching staff, now I don't want to say relevant, but competitive, because there were times this year where that team could not score a ton of points pitching consistently, but there was always Max Scherzer. And sure enough, it came down to a Max Scherzer start on a Thursday, and it separated it out for the rest of the week.
On the Wichita White Wolves Los Tigres side, MVP of the Pedro Serrano Divisional Championship Round. That's a hard decision to make if you look at this Wichita White Wolves performance in this particular games. Candidates have to be Trey Turner at 39 points. You have to look at Ryu and Blake Snell.
Hadouken.
Do what?
Sound like you were doing some Street Fighter stuff there.
Ryu. Chris will let me know if I say that correctly.
On shortly, like you said.
Though, if I'm going to narrow this down to one guy, and it's not the biggest points, that would be Ryu and Trey Turner. I'm going to go actually with Blake Snell as that MVP. This is his 9th start in a row with a W. He has been hot for the Rays, the surging Tampa Bay Rays, but 16 strikeouts this week helped him get 37.3 points. He only gave up 4 hits and only issued 4 walks this week. He had a really good week. And Blake Snell's a guy that has been on Chris's starting staff pretty much all year, but this is a guy that really stepped up at the right time of year for a surging Tampa Bay Ray team. Blake Snell, that's a hard one to go to. You could ask me in a few minutes. I might change my answer, but I'll give it to Blake Snell. There it is.
Cy Young possibility, Blake Snell. I know he's on a team that's making the playoffs. That's
Cy Young possibility. He's having a really good year. Yeah,
20 wins for that guy. If we're talking the major league side, obviously we don't look at wins in this league because we got rid of those. But
well, and the same thing, you have to have a lot of guys have career years. Jacob deGrom having a career year, and that's another team that's not going anywhere. But Jacob deGrom's having a really good year, and he contributed 21 points this week. That's nothing to sneeze at. But there's a lot of career type years, big years happening on this pitching staff. And that's one reason why the Wichita White Wolves and these guys, this assembled roster is going to be a really hard roster to beat. They seem to be hot at the end of the 2018 season. And Wichita White Wolves will be heading into the Harry Doyle Fantasy Baseball 2018 League Championship game. They have defeated the Los Tigres in the Pedro Serrano Division 353 to 247. They will be facing Luke's Royal Ruckus in that league championship game. They are the Rick Vaughn Division Championship winners. 240 over Aiken's Army's 196. We'll break down the Wichita White Wolves and the Royal Ruckus League Championship game here later in the show. But first, let's take a moment, let's break, and let our sponsors have a word.
Ken Griffey Jr. presents Major League Baseball for Super Nintendo. Hey, Cito, could this game be any more real?
I don't think so.
Could this game be any faster?
I don't think so.
Could this game be any more fun?
I don't think so.
Could Ken Griffey Jr. win the series?
I don't think so.
Ken Griffey Jr. presents Major League Baseball, only on Super Nintendo.
When lunch and a day at the park are too much for Tommy Lasorda, he reaches for Rolaids. Nothing works better for acid indigestion. And why should heartburn take the fun out of the game? Relief. You know how to spell it.
The season ends for Aiken's Army and Los Tigres. They join the now 8 teams where the season's over with 2 are left, and 1 will be standing a week from now when we do our final Just a Bit Outside live edition a week from now, 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that leads us to reviewing our consolation bracket update. It's over. It was over early due to some illegal lineups, and we will let you know right now the 2019 minor league first year player draft that we will have in March in the Harry Doyle Fantasy Baseball. We know all but the last 2 spots. That will be determined this week in the league championship game. The first overall selection will go to the Oklahoma Smoke. 2, Van Buren boys. The 3rd pick will go to Blake's censored by the commish. The 6 shooters will be awarded the 4th overall pick. Beards of Glory take the 5th spot. Bolding Beavers with the 6th pick. Aiken's Army has the 7th pick with points, because Los Tigres had about 100 more. They have the 8th spot. 9 and 10 will be determined this week.
Yes, this consolation bracket being new this year, being first time we've done it this year, I think it's interesting that unfortunately this week we didn't have the matchups that we had, but if you look at the
looks like we may have lost Justin on the Just a Bit Out Live. We are live on Just a Bit Outside, and Justin's internet, I'm assuming, has gone down. He is frozen and he is not talking, but we are still live to the world. This is Just a Bit Outside. This is Harry Doyle Fantasy Baseball's very own podcast. We do this for our league, and we are just wrapping up the divisional championship round, getting you ready now for the 2018 league championship game. And we have a consolation bracket we just went over. Justin was about to throw batting practice until he has lost his.
Back.
There he is.
I'm back.
We have
I also move a run until I realized that you weren't there.
Yeah, Justin is back. Welcome back into the Just a Bit Outside live edition, Harry Doyle Fantasy Baseball's very own podcast, gone live. Justin, I was telling everyone as you disappeared on us that you were about to throw some batting practice, or I was about to throw some batting practice, let you hit some dingers over the fence, and I didn't know if you were going to be making it back for that. Are you up for a little batting practice tonight?
Yeah, I'm up. Let's do it. You may recognize this music from the greatest baseball game to ever hit Super Nintendo, RBI Baseball. Travis, these batting practice will sound a lot like knuckleballs. I didn't go out and get audio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw you a couple. I'm going to throw these to you, and I'm going to let you know how well you returned them. What's your response to these stories? We have 5 stories.
So I'm taking batting practice.
Yes, I'm throwing batting practice. So I'm basically doing knuckleballs, but from behind an L screen, so you don't drive one off.
But I need to hit some home runs,
some dingers, like our boy Big Al says in the Little League World Series.
And to be clear, I have no idea what you're throwing at me.
You have absolutely no idea.
I haven't heard.
Start with a story coming out of Hollywood. Miley Cyrus's sister, Noah Cyrus, is selling a line of merchandise that includes a $12,000 bottle of her tears. When asked about this, she said, "This is approximately 12 tears made by me as a result of the sadness I feel. Human digestion of these tears is not suggested because these tears are genuinely pretty salty. And that would be super effing weird if you drank my tears."
That was a real quote.
Yeah, but she didn't censor that. It actually was full-blown F-bomb. So Travis, she is selling clothes that say, it's a hoodie that says, "Sorry, I'm trash." It's a hoodie that says "sadness." And then you can get this little eyedropper bottle full of her tears. The question is not, would you spend $12,000 on her tears? But after losing this week, Travis, how much would you sell your tears for?
I think there would be a market for my Harry Doyle Fantasy Baseball sad tears. I think Blake would be really interested in buying my tears, and I think he'd spend a solid, I don't know, what, $100 on that? I'd sell my tears for $100 to Blake.
Blake would spray them all over you. That's all.
Well, you know what? That's assuming, Blake would say he'd give me $100 and then never pay up.
Oh, I see what you did there. That was a bet joke. Got it. All right, moving on. Travis, I'll give you a solid double for that one.
Hey, you know what?
So my expectations are low, in case you're curious.
Wow.
Moving on. We're going to look at something we talked about a few weeks ago. This is batting practice pitch number 2. A couple weeks on the show, we started talking about this idea of openers. Opener pitchers, okay?
Yeah.
And as of the new power rankings that just came out by ESPN this week, those Tampa Bay Rays are the 10th or 11th best team in the league right now, power ranking wise, based on which one you look at. MLB has them 11th, or ESPN has them 11th, MLB has them 10th. And they're crediting it to Blake Snell, who we just announced as the MVP of the Divisional Series, but they're also giving it credit to the fact that they are using openers, a trend that I believe Travis said, that's 2 teams that suck using this. Why are we paying attention to it? Why are we talking about it? They are the 11th best team in baseball right now. So tell me, Travis, do you want to take back what you said about them openers? And you ready to You ready to start seeing us open some games with the Rangers? And how are we going to handle this in fantasy baseball next year when every team's doing this?
Do I want to take it back? No, I still think openers are stupid, and I don't care what they rank. I don't like them. I don't give me a starter. Let them start the game. How about that?
All right, that one you actually full blown swung and missed at a batting practice pitch. Congratulations.
Listen, I don't know how we can't determine how we're going to handle it in our league until it is actually a thing. So the Rays, who do it the most, they don't do it every game. They do it the most. The Rangers are probably the second team to experiment it. They're awful. There's a couple of other teams in that arena. And until it's become a thing, until it's like a closer, there's no way to determine how that goes. If you're an opener for a team, you have little to no value in fantasy baseball right now. It's hard to give you any value if you're going to pitch an inning and maybe an inning and a third and hopefully get a strikeout or two and not give up several runs. So there's no value in that. And until that's a thing, until there's a stat to say, oh, you did well as an opener, it's a terrible thing. It's a relief pitcher in the beginning of a game, and you don't want a middle relief pitcher in fantasy baseball.
I still say he struck out. All right, on to our third pitch here. A Michigan mother was arrested after stealing her daughter's cell phone as a form of discipline, and she has been vindicated for that. She was arrested and charged and went to court. Her quote is, "I would like an answer on why it got so far and how it got so far to where I can't even discipline my own child. And I'm being the one handcuffed when I'm disciplining her." She went on to say that she was in the middle of nursing a 4-week-old baby the day before Mother's Day when a deputy knocked at her door telling her she'd been arrested on misdemeanor theft charges. He had told me that he was going to arrest me, and I asked him if I could just turn myself in on Monday by myself because I had this baby that couldn't get on the bottle yet. And he said, "No, ma'am, put the baby down and turn around." She was arrested, and she's going to trial. And she believes that she's probably actually going to have to pay a fine for stealing her daughter's cell phone that she paid for with her own money. Travis, the question is not, is this right or wrong? The question is, at what age is it okay to steal your kid's cell phone? And are you willing to go to jail to discipline your child?
The age that it's okay to steal a cell phone that you bought is birth. And yes, I am willing to go to jail to discipline my child.
You're willing to pull an Adrian Peterson. All right.
No. Oh dear.
Single on that one. You're still you're 2 for 3. That'll get you in the Hall of Fame, my friend. And finally, Travis, the Orioles became the first professional sports team to wear Braille on their jerseys this week. The question is,
oh gosh,
did you see it? Because they're blind. So I don't think anybody noticed. Travis, what would you do? Okay, the question is not did you see it and would you do it, but what if the church you're starting decided to put the name of the church on your shirt in Braille and someone walked up to you and started touching your chest to see what it said? What would your response be?
I don't know what my response would be. Just like I don't know how my response should be to this story right here.
Dumb, dude. I mean, I get it. They did it for charity. The money, they sold the jerseys afterwards to a charity for people who can't see. But the thing about it, it's Braille, and it's not raised on the shirt. It's a sewn-on patch, so you can walk up and you can't tell exactly. This is just dumb. I mean, what's the announcer say? Next up, 2 dot, 1 dot, 3 dot, 5 dot. Like, how did they announce that when they went? I don't get it.
I don't know.
You've done so well that I'm going to give you one extra pitch. Are you ready?
I'm so glad.
Travis, what are your thoughts on the Kavanaugh case?
This is the worst segment ever.
I'm just kidding. It is. It's planned at the last minute. I'm just kidding, Travis. Let's move on. We have 2 special guests here with us tonight. We have the owners of the 2 teams that will be heading into the championship game this week. the owner of Royal Ruckus, Luke Watson, former special guest on the show, talked a lot of trash, was one of the favorite guests of the year based on the ratings. And also Chris Dockhill, who is a great person who subs in for us when we have vacations or just don't want to talk about baseball. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Luke, how you doing tonight?
I'm exhausted. I'm sitting in our new house with no internet, so I'm on my cell phone. Audio, I'm sure, is terrible. House has no internet. This is what my house looks like.
Well, congratulations on the new house. But my big question is, how are you going to set your line?
I like how Luke's showing us on an audio show.
This isn't an audio
house looks
show.
like.
It's a
Did we just
YouTube.
lose Chris?
It's a YouTube video podcast.
Yeah, this is just a bit outside live, Travis. People are watching on the internet.
That's right. We'll get Chris Dockhill back here in just a second, Justin. So let's spend some time with Royal Ruckus. Luke, your reaction to being Rick Vaughn Divisional Championship for the very first time.
Well, I'm thrilled. Obviously, I do feel like it was less earned than handed to me, Travis. I felt like you were kind in giving me more credit than I really deserved. But again, I have no internet, so I can't see the stats at the same time I'm talking. But you mentioned your three big guys between Story and who are the other? you have three of your main players who ended up with 8 total points. It's going to be hard for you to overcome that.
Story, Goldschmidt,
Goldschmidt. Thank you.
Goldschmidt had 0, just in case you forgot. 0.
Yeah,
None.
that's a rough week. So, I'm going to need to perform a lot better to win the championship. As obviously, I am looking ahead to that. Beating you was more of a formality than anything else. The road went straight through you, as you stated.
Over him.
So,
Still reigning champ.
I believe that reign ends as soon as you lose, but whatever. This is back to semantics. So, no, absolutely thrilled to get over the Aikens hump. I'm not sure how that sounds, but
that sounds awful.
Yeah, but absolutely thrilled. Finally, I believe in year 4 for me. I think this is thrilled to take that next step. Our division has not shown anything other than to be a 2-man division between me and you, pretty much. I see that probably looking to continue, which really goes to that the talk of realignment. And this is totally getting off subject, but I'm going to keep going anyway.
Yes, it is.
So the talk of realignment would just be absolutely ridiculous, because you'd probably go with a Northern Division and a Southern Division, and the Northern Division would be like the Big 12 South in the final years of the 12-team Big 12. So that's just probably a horrible idea to go with that method. So, but carry on, whatever.
All right, Luke Watson, owner of Royal Ruckus, with us on Just a Bit Outside Live. Luke, a week from now, if Royal Ruckus is Harry Doyle Fantasy Baseball 2018 league champion, it's because of what this week? What goes right for you this week?
Well, honestly, I haven't even looked at my lineup yet, which is probably a bad thing to admit, given that I'm going to my first championship game. But I have been moving houses and at a softball tournament all day today, so I figure I'll look at that as soon as I get off here. But obviously my big guys are going to have to perform, and then I need a little support from the guys who are less consistent. So I need Rodon to step up. I need Clevenger to step up in my pitching staff. Those guys are so hit and miss. Obviously, I need Scherzer and Trout and the big boys like that to perform up to their level. But if I don't get some support from those guys who are inconsistent, then there's no chance it's going to happen. So as much as I'd like to continue to ride Trout and Scherzer, which is going to happen, they need the role players to really step up and pull their weight as well.
Well, the good thing looking at the matchup this week, and again, we got Chris back on. He'll be on shortly. You do have Mike Clevenger going up against Kansas City, which is usually a good shot to score quite a bit of points. I know we have quite a few Royals fans in this league, and it's got to suck to know that everybody lines up starts against your team, just kind of like they did early in the season with the Rangers.
Hey, the Royals are on fire right now.
Like dumpster fire or like actually winning games? I haven't actually paid attention to the Royals.
Winning some serious games.
Oh, sweet. Congratulations. You're looking at a 6. I mean, based on the way it's set now, you said you haven't checked it, but
yeah, could you sum my lineup for me?
I can't. What's your password? I made a bold prediction that either me or Chris would win the division. So if you give me your password, I will set this thing for you. But yeah, I think you have a couple decent matchups as far as your pitchers this week. Scherzer versus Miami could be an interesting one. Could be some big points there. And then you get a 2-start week from Talion this week, or Jameson Talion this week. So we will see how that goes. I would like to switch gears, head over to the person who just put me in my place and made me feel like their bitch. What's up, Chris Dockhill? How are you doing tonight?
Good evening, fellas. How we doing?
Good. Congratulations on the absolute beating you put on the Tigers this week. First question before we even start, did you do anything to Jose Abreu's hit before this week started?
There may or may not have been some biological warfare.
Someone said it was AIDS.
It was actually smallpox. No, the only thing I wasn't sure about, and did you say he actually was active at the beginning of the week? Could you not have subbed him out?
He was active. He played Sunday, and he was off Monday. So, and during the week, his third game was Thursday night at 6:00. So it was after the deadline. He had to have been on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for me to sub him. That 3-day window rule did not work for me this week, unfortunately. Not that Max Muncy did much on the bench to really cover up 113 points or whatever it was, but yeah, it was. I texted Travis and was like, "There's no way, right?" And Travis went through the Constitution and hit me like.
We've talked about this before. I won't beat a dead horse, but I think we need to figure out some way to, because I think in the spirit of that rule, it doesn't make any sense. Like Travis was saying about having daily lineups and being able to sub players out. I mean, you're sitting there all week long knowing that guy's not going to play. I mean, that'd be one situation where I'd say if you decide, let's say Tuesday, it doesn't look good that he's going to play the rest of the week, get him out, get somebody else in. If you've got the foresight to roster another first baseman, then, at least get something out of the guy. But that was crap for luck. So,
and it is what it is. It's September baseball. It's one of the things, I mean, we had multiple, the good thing, I feel like, the bad thing about my lineup is, resting all week. But I mean, it doesn't matter if everybody would play this week, Chris. At 179 from your hitting and 175 from your pitching, I was going to lose. So when you look at this week for your team, other than the fact that you just scored a ton of points, was there a surprise performance this week? I mean, for the most part, everybody's done what they have done periodically or all at once throughout the year. But is there one of these guys you look at and you're like, man, he stepped up this week. He's one of the main reasons I took this home and went to the championship round.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that, I'd kind of gotten my pitching staff to a point about a month or maybe a month and a half ago, right about the time that Trevor Bauer went down, where I felt pretty good about having 5 pretty consistent starters. I had Carlos Carrasco, Jacob deGrom. I had Luis Severino, who had been really good in the first half. I had Blake Snell, and I had Trevor Bauer. And I really didn't think I was going to have to mess with it much. It was kind of set it and forget it at that point. And all of a sudden, Severino just kind of went off the tracks, and Bauer takes a comebacker, and he's, potentially missed the rest of the season from that point on. And so I needed to find something to fill the gap. So Herman Marquez, who I think you had used earlier in the year, and I think he had a couple home starts where he wasn't great, but he was pitching really well on the road. And I had read somewhere that, his underlying peripherals look great. So I kind of took a shot on the guy, and man, he's just been lights out. I mean, if you did a second half of the year Cy Young, he's probably in the running. And then this week, Hyunjin Ryu, I think, as you were talking about the Street Fighter, two-start guy that you throw in there thinking if I can get 10 points, maybe 15 out of each start, I'd be happy. And the guy throws 2 gems. I was putting the numbers down earlier. I had a 0.88 ERA out of 7 starts with 6 quality starts and a K9 of 11.5. I mean, it was just, you can't ask for anything more than that. I can say that, oh yeah, I look really smart because I picked all the right guys. But I mean, some of this is just, hope for the best and get the best. So, I was hoping it would be a closer matchup from the standpoint of it'd be more entertaining. I'll never complain about pulling away on a Sunday and not blowing a lead like I've done a couple times this year. But, I agree. I think we had, if not the two best teams, two of the best teams. I think it was a slugfest, and I got lucky. The Red Sox clinching, I think, helped me because they were resting guys. Like you said, very few at bats for Mookie Betts and Benintendi. That makes a huge difference. So it was best case scenario this week.
I want to ask you the same question that Travis asked. 7 days from now, we have you back on. You've just clinched the title. For what went right in order for the Wichita White Wolves to be back next week for the championship interview?
I guess when I look at the lineup and kind of the way that every week, sort of, if somebody has had an off week, whether it's been, Bellinger in a slump or, Trey Turner in a slump or something, there's been kind of somebody that's picked them up. And so I kind of think that, I don't know, I kind of just want the team to just kind of continue being itself. I don't think I really need any, heroic performances, just sort of, I've had a lot of, 20-point scorers. And I think if the guys kind of just keep doing what they're doing, we'll be okay. There's always that worry that you're going to have a week like Travis just had where everything kind of falls apart and a couple guys get blown up and guys miss starts or have starts pushed back. And, some of that you can't control. So I think just kind of keep doing what we've been doing, and it should be a good matchup.
Well, 2018 Harry Doyle Fantasy Baseball League Championship begins tomorrow. Wichita White Wolves taking on Royal Ruckus. And we're going to have a new league champion, a first-time league champion, regardless of who wins this game. So I want to end this time with Luke and Chris. This is your chance to begin the smack talk. Luke, do you have anything you'd like to say to the Wichita White Wolves?
First, I can't unmute him. So let's start with Chris. Chris, do you have any trash talk while I figure out how Luke got
You muted Luke. Well, apparently Luke is not allowed to smack talk. Chris, this is your chance to tell Luke anything you want, and he cannot respond to you, apparently. What do the Wichita White Wolves want to say to their rivals in the Royal Ruckus this week?
Well, I will say, and I don't know if there's anything to this, but sometimes in your life as a sports fan, you feel like you kind of just everything you touch turns to gold. And I was in Ann Arbor, Michigan this weekend watching my Wolverines play, and for anyone who was paying attention to that game, 56-10 over the Huskers. I had to throw that in for Zach, but. Then I'm kind of following my scores, in my semifinal matchup with Justin at the same time. And it looks a lot like what I'm seeing out there on the football field. So I just, caution to Luke. The train's got momentum going right now. We're rolling down the tracks. He may be the next one in line to get trucked.
Choo choo, Luke, what you got?
I'm struggling. I've got absolutely nothing.
He's speechless. The train.
House, what's up?
So tired now. Other than to say that nobody was paying attention to that because it's the Big Ten and nobody cares. But this isn't college football smack talk. So yeah,
that was the most K-State thing I've ever heard.
I was going to go with some Wichita Collegiate thing as the alternative, so that there's nothing good there either. So
except for state championships,
that are all purchased by recruiting the best. That's the other smack talk that you can go after with collegiate, but these guys don't care about that. It's back to Rangers baseball managerial talk.
Dallas Cowboys football.
They don't. It's a lot easier to talk trash to the guys who to the Ranger fans who are no good at fantasy baseball.
Okay. All right. 2018 Hair Doyle Fantasy Baseball League Championship. Wichita White Wolves, Chris Dockhill, Royal Ruckus, Luke Watson. Gentlemen, thank you for being on Just a Bit Outside, the live edition this week.
Thank you,
What are
guys.
these hand signals you guys are making? I like them.
I'm counting them out, man. I'm telling him how much time he's got left on the song.
Oh, okay.
We're professionals
I got
here. And I forget that we're on actual video. So
It's a very professional podcast.
hey, but
Yeah.
before we tag
Oh, go
out, let me, if we're gonna go there, just allow me to go there with this college football stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, Mean Green.
Yeah, buddy. 4-0, getting recognized as getting votes for the top 25 and God knows how long. Welcome to the big show. University of North Texas, straight out of Denton, America. We took out Liberty Flames last night. Don't make fun of them because we beat Arkansas last week. Rolling through. We're going 12-0. We are the next Central Florida national champions, baby.
Are you the Armadillos?
That is for you, Phil Brown.
Hey, are you the Armadillos?
Yeah.
We weren't-
Can I volunteer to be your color guy on the ESPN3 broadcast?
Oh my God. That is a totally different podcast, but those guys from Liberty, they said the word sluggo more times in one effing broadcast than I've heard it in my entire college football watching. It was like every effing route was a sluggo.
Is your center named Manu the Slender? I just need to
I
know.
hope so.
I've been enjoying following the North Texas Justin Twitter in the past.
The North Texas Justin
past few
Twitter's
weeks.
hot when they win, but it's non-existent when they lose. So normally it's non-existent at all. But hey, I'm making
Celebrating some man sacks.
I am offering it up. If anybody would like to travel to Denton, Texas and throw down on a tailgate, I will bring my new alcoholic seltzer water. It is refreshing and hydrating and alcoholic.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Just a Bit Outside live divisional championship round. Congratulations, Wichita White Wolves. Congratulations, Royal Ruckus. Big week, biggest week of the 2018 year is right now. League championship game. We'll be paying attention all week. Good luck to both of you. Thank you to everyone who's listened and joined us on our live edition of Just a Bit Outside. For Justin Deering, I'm Travis Akins. So long, everybody.
Caw-caw!
Oh Lord, set my soul, take my pain and turn it into gold. 'Cause all I know